You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. So we've got ourselves a bit of a problem here. We have 42 calls, and we're definitely not getting through them all. So I am going to do my best here to make sure everybody gets a call in. So, for example, if we've got somebody call in here and then, tomorrow they call in and 2 calls later they call in, we'll go back to it after we get to everybody else at least talking once. Does that make sense? All right. At least I'm going to try to keep track of that. I don't know how good of a job I'm going to do with that, but let's get started. Less chit-chat is better as soon as I push this little button here. Garrett from Southern Illinois, what's going on, man?
Hey, Ryan, it's Garrett from Southern Illinois.
Hey.
It's a mundane Monday, and for a while yesterday, I was so pissed off I could rip the head off of a nun. Now, I'm just depressed.
That's a new one. I have not heard that.
I really had high hopes for yesterday. Seems like I'm trying to stay positive, but I'm going to do my best to get through this call. But Edgerrin Cooper looks sensational at moments. I think the future is bright with him. But on the flip side of the coin, Javon Bullard, man, how many times did he blow coverage that cost us? I mean, did the injury to Zane really set us back that much, having Javon come in? Because it sure did feel like it. And you have to give credit to Darnold. He sliced us up in the middle. I don't know what. It was a lot. I think it was over 20 passes completed over the middle, in between the numbers. It was insane. Insane. And Jordan, he needs to burn that Toyota thong sweater is all I can say.
I told you guys.
I mean, geez. I mean, these fourth quarter comebacks, heart attack pack kind of stuff, man, I don't want to go back to that style of football. I want them to start out and come out hot and play 4 quarters for Pete's sake. 4 quarters. That's all I want to see is just play hard for 4 quarters. But I don't know. The playoffs is going to be a rough, difficult road. Can they do it? Yes, I believe that they can do it. I truly do. But man, with the Commanders winning last night, does that really set them back to the 7th seed? That's a tough row to hoe. We shall see. I just hope we can get Jaw back and Watson back. That's all I can hope. I'm out.
Well, please don't say ho on my show. I'm just kidding. Well, I hope you're feeling better. I know Monday was rough, but we're about a week later, so I'm hoping you're doing better, Garrett. And hopefully tomorrow is a good day. Hopefully tomorrow is a pretty relaxed day. Talk about it on tomorrow's podcast a little bit, but either the Vikings or Lions has to lose, which is great. The Bears should lose, which is great. The Packers should win, which is great. Either Dallas loses, which is funny, or Dallas wins and we get our 6th seed back. 49ers are fighting right now for nothing, which is just the best. So, life is pretty good. All right, Kyle, what you got going on?
Hey, Ryan. Kyle from Madison.
What's up?
About ready to watch this Lions-Niners game here. I guess I'm rooting for the Lions because that I think would be at least compelling television for the Vikings-Lions, playing for the marbles, all the marbles next week. Just reflecting on things. I don't know, for some reason I'm just less disappointed than I imagined I'd be today, but I was reminded that, what's the saying? Past results do not dictate future performance, right? Isn't that the saying? And it really is true. I'm thinking, like, okay, let's look at, I know these are different teams, so just look at the Rodgers arc, for example, right? It's a ho-hum first year, and then the next year, it's in 2009, they heat up, and I still think if they beat the Cardinals, they'd probably win the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
But then remember in 2010, we were kind of garbage in stretches. And we had to actually beat the Giants, and then remember, Cutler and the Bears came in with having already locked everything up in the Week 17, though, and they had a chance, and that would, that was some foreshadowing, because had they beat us that last week, we don't make the playoffs, and they probably go to Super Bowl, right? So, I think we romanticized that team, even though, no, it wasn't like we came out, we were hot in 2009, but we were crap, in large stretches in 2010, the year we won the Super Bowl. And it's kind of like that, it's not linear, I'm kind of reminded of that. And even last year, we go get embarrassed, and we have a great game against the Lions and the Chiefs, and we go get embarrassed by Vito Corleone in New York, and then Baker Mayfield lights us up in Lambeau, and then we go to Carolina, and just survive, right? And then, we play against some high school quarterback in Minnesota, and the offense looks great. And then I think, what was it, like a 9-point win against Chicago, but it wasn't dominant. And then we curb stomped Detroit or Dallas. But it's it is interesting, that it just doesn't. It's not usually linear. It hasn't been in our time. I guess the only exception would be kind of the Favre Packers. That was fairly linear. We kept building and building. We couldn't get past the Cowboys, and then finally we were there, and the Cowboys weren't, and we won it all. But I don't know. I guess it's a good reminder that, past results don't dictate future performance, which is stupid when all these talking heads feel vindicated about the Packers because of their record, which is the dumbest argument. Well, they're 11 and whatever against 13 whatever, so obviously 13 whatever wins. No, that doesn't matter. Every game is its own thing. So going into the playoffs here, if they clean up some things, I do think they could make a run. But perhaps next year is our year, or, the window in earnest. But anyway, buddy, just was thinking like that. Get your thoughts. Thanks.
Yeah, and again, I just want to remind everybody that applies to every single team. There is not a single playoff team that has nothing to clean up. There's not a single playoff team that has got it all together and they're just going to coast straight through. There just isn't. There is every single playoff team has something that happened throughout the year, whether it's regularly, whether it was a while ago, again, with the Packers, they were great and there was nothing for a long time, and then something reared its ugly head from a long time ago, which can absolutely happen again. There isn't a team. There's not a single team that is just this is the best team. They're going to win it. They're going to win it all. Not Buffalo, not Baltimore, not Kansas City, not Detroit, not Minnesota. There isn't a single team that doesn't have things to clean up or things to be concerned about. And, if you don't fix this, or if this rears its ugly head again, you will not win a Super Bowl. That is every single team. So is next year our year? No. There are 32 teams in the NFL. There are 31 other teams. It can't just be our year, because there's way too many other teams whose year it is. It's going to be the Chiefs' year again. It's going to be Buffalo's year. It's going to be Baltimore's year. It's going to be probably Minnesota's year again. It's going to be Detroit's year. It's going to be a lot of teams' year. Are the Packers going to be marginally better? I would argue there's a better chance of them being worse than being better, to be completely honest. I think we massively underestimate how good of a season this is. I think we massively underestimate how good our special teams has been, which could very easily fall off. We massively underestimate how great our defense has been, which could very easily fall off. People are going to sit here and listen and whimper like, oh, they haven't been that good, as though you didn't just witness some of the worst defensive play from Packers teams over the last 15 years. Stop acting like you don't know what an actual bad defense looks like. Could they marginally get better? Yeah. Does that make it our year? No. Because you know what? Next year, they're going to be a good team that has flaws And if those flaws show up, they're not going to win a Super Bowl. That is going to happen every single year if we're lucky. Because some years, for a lot of teams, you're just a bad team that doesn't do anything right and will not go to the playoffs. For everybody else, you're a good team that is susceptible to mistakes and is unlikely to win a Super Bowl. But if they can just go on a real hot run right now and make absolutely very, very, very minimal mistakes, less than everybody else, you got a chance.
Hey, Ryan, I'm just listening to After Dark from...
Dang it. Click the wrong one. That's Kyle again. Nico is what I meant.
Ryan, how you doing?
What's up?
So I didn't call him yesterday. Frankly, I didn't care. I had a joint issue yesterday, a joint in my body issue where it was flaring up and I was in massive pain. So I didn't care about a lot of stuff, but I still watched the game. Up until Love got sacked, I believe it was the beginning of the fourth quarter. And I was like, I don't know if I want to put myself through pain and emotional pain watching my team that I know is better than this play like the frickin' Saints.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got people dropping passes. I don't care what you say about Reed. He had to dive for it. He should catch that pass.
Yeah, that one was very
10
catchable.
out of 10 times.
You know, I've complained about passes not being on target or whatever, but even that one, I mean, it's not like he dove and he had to outstretch his arms. I mean, he dove and it was like in his chest. You know what I mean? That's not in the group that I've been talking about of Jordan not putting it on a guy. I don't really have a problem with that one. It could have been thrown a little bit shorter, but again, it looked to me like Jaden Reed was slowing down. So yeah, I'm that's 90% at least on Jaden Reed from my perspective on that particular play.
When I played football, you know, when I was younger and fleet of foot, I kind of did better on the diving catches because you're totally laid out and concentrated. You know you're going to hit the ground anyways. People that haven't played, look, he's going to hit the ground. He's going to hit the ground whether he dives and catches the ball or whether he dives and misses the ball. So it's kind of like when they say that when receivers have like an injured finger, they tend to catch the ball better because they focus more. That's how I felt on the really hard ones, like I was really focusing, you know, just all the tension to my hands. He dove for that ball. He wasn't really outstretched. He was just like diving.
Right.
And the ball hit him in his hands and it bounced off his hands like a friggin' hot potato. Yeah. And that's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
I've already seen people like, it's funny how we'll win 3 or 4 games in a row and fans like, yeah, we're kick-A. We're going to take down the Vikings and the stupid Lions. Then we lose a game and like, LaFleur's trash. Like, no, he's the same great coach.
Well, and that, I mean, again, these are probably different people, but still, it just goes to show how silly all of it is. Like, just calm down. Like, we put way too much stock, very similar to what Kyle was talking about, you know, whatever the specific saying is, but like just because the information you have right in front of your face doesn't mean that is 100% of the information, and everything else before that is trash, and everything else in the future that's probably going to change is definitely not going to change. It's all going to be exactly this. It's exactly this forever, and we're doomed, and life is over.
I literally listened to...
Well, it's cold outside. I will never see warmth again. It's January, and it's 14 degrees right now, and I will never feel warmth on my skin again, ever.
One of them was an ex-Packer, is Mike Wall, by the way. Process to Perform. I don't know if you want me to not advertise his podcast, but it's a very good breakdown of plays. One of the best I've seen. He was just going over how good LaFleur is about doing different play calls and picking on your weaknesses. But he can't make you catch a ball. And he can't make you, line up on the line of scrimmage. I don't know if Zach Tom was off the line of scrimmage or not. I have noticed a trend in the NFL lately to when there's a play like that's easily being able to see whether it was right or wrong. Sometimes they just don't show the replay on the television.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me wonder. But, if guys can't catch the ball, guys can't block, and guys can't get open.
Boy. See, this is the part that's hard because sometimes people just talk for 9 minutes and it's like, well, I only wanted one call, but it's kind of two calls. Nico, I think we're going to have to just leave it at the 3 minutes, and we'll come back if we can, because there's just so many calls to get through. But, I mean, I'm clearly on the same wavelength as that. A lot of people disagree, but there are things to get upset about the coach with. And I think right now there are people that don't like the coach and are completely making up nonsense to dislike the coach. Because he's emotional. And when did that become a bad thing? Like 24 hours ago? So Nick Saban is a piece of garbage. He's a whiny baby, right? And the Harbaughs are whiny babies, loser idiots. And that Lions coach, he's way too animated and crazy and needs to calm down. No, you're just looking for a reason to blame the coach because we didn't win the game. That's literally all it is, and it's stupid. I mean, just listening to all the different complaints, it ranges from, two of the biggest ones that I'm hearing are, we need to stop dialing up deep shots all the time, which again, Matt LaFleur is not dialing up deep shots. There's almost always somebody going to be deep, and there's almost always somebody going to be shallow and intermediate, and it's up to Jordan Love to make the right decision at that point. So, first of all, that's not even happening. But that's one complaint. And then on the other side, Jordan Love is being held back. I'm starting to hear people say that now. It's funny because the complaint is too many deep shots, and then within 4 days, we actually forgot exactly how the game went, and we just start making stuff up. Jordan Love's being held back. He's better when he's a gunslinger. We got to let him be the gunslinger. We're making this a run-first team, and now he's just a game manager, and he doesn't manage well with that. What are you talking about? Nobody's being held back. Jordan Love has the option to throw deep on almost every single play. And in fact, he does it entirely too often because he's bad at it. Or has been recently. Was in that game. How about that? But we just got to make stuff up. Matt LaFleur's holding back Jordan. Matt LaFleur's dialing up too many plays. Matt LaFleur's not running enough. Matt LaFleur's not passing enough. Matt LaFleur's guys aren't up for the game enough, so there's not enough energy. Matt LaFleur has too much energy. Bro, just stop making up stupid stuff. We lost a game. Get over it. By 2 points. God. All right, Drew, you're up.
Hey, Ryan, it's Drew from Green Bay. I had a quick thought, and basically, obviously Bullard struggled. But one thing I wanted to say is that I think it doesn't get talked about enough that injuries in the middle of the game are so much harder to overcome than injuries, in the beginning of the week, because you can prepare all week and, you have a game plan around it. But, all those games where Jair would be missing, we thought he was going to play and then the day of, all of a sudden he's not playing. That kind of thing is really hard on the backup, or here we're going to play Zane Anderson at safety. And I know it's just Zane Anderson. He's not some stud or anything. But all of a sudden you're asking a rookie to play out a position with basically no practice reps at the spot. And even though, he's played in college and all of that, it's just a really hard thing to do. And I truly believe that Bullard would have played a lot better had he gotten the whole week of practice. And that's where you could see a guy who did really poorly say he has to go back out there again. I think he'd play a lot better next week. And not just because a different opponent, I think because of that preparation. And I just want to say that, people just don't seem to acknowledge that enough, in my opinion. So have a good one.
Well, I mean, you're definitely right that it's harder to not prepare and play a game. And I do think that Bullard would benefit from being given one position, being allowed to train in an off season and in the, as in the actual off season, as well as training camp and everything else. That's what you do. And then throughout the season, you play at one position. And that's when we'll find out if he's good or if he's just bad. That being said, I came into this game having a low opinion of Bullard because he's been bad all year. So it's not like, well, he just got thrown into this game. Yeah, but it's been a bad year for him. I mean, it's just been terrible. So, it might be unfair or whatever, but it is what it is. I mean, he's not good, and I think he's a liability, and I really want anybody else, Zane Anderson or Evan Williams or whoever else we can get out there, I want him to get out there. hopefully we get Evan Williams and Zane Anderson back. That way we've got just a plethora of better options. And with Valentine and Stokes playing better on the outside, we can just have Keyshawn in the slot. I know he's not been great in the slot, but I think he's better than Bullard. And Bullard can just remain the number 2 slot, the number 3 safety as far as backup, and we'll just leave it at that. But no, you are right. He has been in a tough spot, and I don't want to just completely give up on Bullard. But for this year, I 100% have completely given up on Bullard. It'd be nice if he just have a good game. That happens once in a while, and maybe he'll have a good game in this game. I don't know, but it's not going to be a thing this year. It's just not.
Howdy, this is Jared, the Uber driver from Texas. So I just wanted to call in just to talk about that 2-point conversion. I'm not sure if I would full on agree with it either, but I think the mindset was we were down by however much, 17 or whatever, and if we go for 2-0 and get it, then we're down by 9, and then it's just a touchdown and a field goal to win. Or if we miss it, we can go for another 2-pointer and just have it back at 14. Now, of course, it doesn't guarantee that you'll get it. And then if you don't get that one either, you just need another touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact, percentages on how that would have been made or anything.
You all right?
But, yeah, no, that's what I would have to guess is more like the idea behind it, which, it's fine. That's not the worst idea thinking, at least to me. I don't know. I don't know what the exact percentages were again, though. But also, I did have some good news happen to me on that game day on Sunday. I found out that we're going to have our second child.
Nice.
Sometime in probably July or August of next year.
Congrats.
We still need to go see a doctor about that. But anyways, yeah. So second child for us. Let's go. And also, I know this will probably be played on New Year's or maybe January 2nd, but Happy New Year to the whole Packernet family. And Happy New Year to you, and everybody have good times for the whole year. God bless everybody. Go Pack Go. Have a good day.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm so far removed from that whole situation, I don't remember. And, again, like I said, I would not have gone for 2 there. I don't get it. I did do the calculator. I was surprised how close to 50-50 it really was, but it still did say you don't go for it, and I don't fully understand it. I'm sure Matt LaFleur or whoever was talking to him, the analytics guy, was saying it's a good idea. Whatever. I don't care. But congratulations to you. Very happy, very exciting stuff. That is... I don't know. It's about as exciting as it gets. So, and it gets a lot harder. It's like it's funny because when you have a second kid, when you have a kid, it feels like is the hardest thing in the world because you're used to just being by yourself, and everything takes 100,000 times longer, and everything is so much work, and you got to tend to another human being 24/7. And it's like, bro, this is bull crap. Like like when do I ever get to just not do stuff? And my wife was not, I didn't make comments like that very often because she was not going to take that very well. But then you have a second kid and you realize, holy crap, I had it easy with one kid. Remember when we just had one kid? That was so easy. And then you have 3 and it's the same thing. And it's like, do you remember how easy 2 was? I can't believe we have 3. And then when you get to 4, it starts getting a lot easier. I don't know what happens after 4 because I don't have more than 4. But once you get to 4, it gets real easy because you just stop caring. At some point you just break. And your kids can just do whatever they want. And plus, some of the kids start getting older, so they can take care of themselves, and they can start taking care of the kids. And when you get that final kid out of diapers, it's just like, bro, whatever, dude. Like I'm back to like when I didn't have kids anymore. Hey, what's up? What are you doing? Can I have a popsicle? Yeah. Did they have breakfast yet? I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. It's like I remember. Like my wife was super strict about stuff, and I grew up in a house where it was like, it was a free for all in our house. I mean, not that we could necessarily do anything, but we watched horror movies, rated R movies, and ate whatever and drank whatever, and not necessarily alcohol until we got a little older. But my wife was like, no TV or very limited screen time and like no candy. Like my dad offered one of the kids candy and she's like, oh, no. It was very like uptight about everything and everything needed to be served. Now it's like she'll go get like a little frappe coffee drink and one of my little kids will want one. She'll give him a sip of it. And I just laugh. Like, you would have died if you saw yourself doing this however many years ago. But anyways, very, very happy for you. Happy New Year. And why don't we take a break? We'll come back and we got Raider McCready.
Ryan, Raider McCready from Missouri.
What's up?
Just wanted to chime in on the whole, is this who the Packers are? I mean, I've been telling people since around the time they really kicked it into gear last year that who the Packers are depends on what team shows up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they come out and they play really lights out, and that team can beat anybody. Sometimes they come out and it seems like it's going to fall on their face a little bit. And that team, I mean, can beat the bad teams and maybe skid away on the average teams. I don't think that team's really going to beat one of the top tier teams. That's who the Packers are, in my opinion, at this moment, is you hope for the better team to show up. But you got to know that there's the chance that they might not just perform well. And at this point, I think that's just where we're at. So, go Pack go. Hope for the best.
Well, it just dawned on me, because I've been trying to make this point forever, and I don't know if I've made it clear enough. This freaking DVOA thing is broken, and it's been like a week, so I'm going to have to message them and say, if you want to continue to take my money, I want you to fix this. But let me just see if they have it for like offense, just to give kind of an example here right quick. But anyways, I mean, I could do it myself, I guess. Bottom line is this, because I maybe you even commented on it, but several people, when I put up a poll saying, is this essentially what you're commenting on, is this the Packers team, or did the Packers team not show up? And I think for some people, and I tried to make it as much as possible something that it cannot be both. But I think where a lot of people wanted to find the middle ground is, well, the Packers are a team that is highly volatile. So the fact that they didn't show up is essentially the Packers' identity. But again, I think, not that that's untrue, because of course it is true. The part that I think is being missed is the fact that variability is something all 32 teams have. Some are more than others, some are less than others. I don't know where the Packers fall in that, but I would be interested to look into that, and I may do that. That'll be a good little mini off season. We got a couple weeks here of no football. Nice little thing to do to kind of go through and look at that and just see, like, how much how kind of, one of it is I guess there's two different metrics here, which is your highest highs and your lowest lows, who has the biggest gap between those two, but then also just sort of a variability, like how much do you bounce around, as opposed to, because you can be mostly steady and then have like one elite game and one garbage game. That doesn't make you necessarily highly variable or fluctuating a lot or anything like that. So that would be kind of an interesting thing that I'd want to look into. It wouldn't be that hard to kind of figure it out either. But the point is, I just, like everything else, been my theme of the week, I don't want to get caught in the idea that this thing is unique to the Packers, because it's not. It's absolutely not. It's like I said, the Ravens lost to the Browns. Like, I don't know what else there is to say. And we know that. We know that stuff happens all the time. That's the NFL. We know that stuff happens. There'll be a team that's a 13-point favorite and lose. That stuff happens kind of regularly. I mean, not more than 50% of the time, obviously. I mean, you're more likely to bet on the team with that high of a point spread, but it's not that shocking. Like, oh man, is that the first time that's ever happened? Like, no, that happens every year. Probably happens several times a year, but closer to once a week than once a year. Because bad teams sometimes show up and just bludgeon people, and good teams sometimes just don't show up and play like crap. And sometimes, by the way, we're the beneficiary of that. So we see it all the time, and we pretend that we're the only ones that do it. I'm not trying to necessarily say that's what you're saying. I'm just, like everything else, man, just, you know, the way that we as Packer fans phrase it is we can't win a Super Bowl because we just have these times where we just don't show up. Okay, well, if that's the truth, then 32 teams can't win the Super Bowl. And yes, it's even true of teams with great records, and we've seen it. The only difference is a lot of the time when the other teams implode, or when you implode, the other team is either so bad or they also implode at the exact same time. Like, you know, the Chiefs have been bad all year, and look at their record. Their record doesn't reflect how elite they are. Detroit against Tennessee. Detroit was or Houston. Oh, my Lord, that was bad. But Houston was just probably had their worst game of the season. But it would be interesting. Definitely be interesting to look into. Again, it'll be a good sort of bye-week thing to play with.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle, Rico.
Yo.
Hey, listen to the pod. Once again, I had to freaking work. And I didn't catch much of the Packer game, a little bit on the radio and a couple snippets on the TV here and there. But, so it'd be wrong of me to say anything about the way they played because I didn't really get to see it. But to say that to the people calling in that say they're terrible and they can't win, and that's just the dumbest thing. They can't win. They can't do this. They can't do that. They've done this. They've done that. Right. So we know they can. That's pretty clear. It's disappointing when they don't do what they're capable of doing, for sure. Yeah. I mean, look at it this way. I mean, I used to be with you guys. I get it. I don't think I was ever like a can't guy. I was upset when they didn't. I used to really lose my mind, especially during the game, but I'd let it really kind of control my mood. But I get it, guys. So sorry that you feel that way, but they can. Will they do it next Sunday? I'm saying yeah, because that's what you do. You gotta go out there and saying we're gonna do it. And when we don't do it, well, it happens, There's letdowns. It's like, let's say whoever cooks your meals for you is a awesome cook, right? But every once in a while they just goof up, right? So you look forward to it, like, oh, I'm gonna make my favorite dish or whatever, blah blah. And 6 nights of the week, and you don't know which night it's going to be. It's not always Thursday. It's not always Tuesday. But every once in a while, they just mess it up. And the problem is you've been looking forward to it. You're not like, if you're expecting it to be garbage and it's garbage, well, hey, that's fine. But you're like, man, tonight we're going to have that chicken Alfredo. It's going to be bad. And then you get home and you get the old chicken Alfredo and it's just nasty. And it's not because the person who made the chicken Alfredo can't make chicken Alfredo. It's because they had their head up and gooped it up somehow. Put in salt instead of flour or something. I don't know. Anyways, so, yeah. Am I looking forward to the Packers next? Whoa, I'm getting called on here. Getting called coming in. But anyways, am I looking forward to the next game? Heck yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Am I thinking we're going to win it? Heck yeah, I'm thinking we're going to win it. We gotta. So, are we gonna? Yeah. But I want to real bad, for sure. Real bad. Love y'all. Go Pack, go.
Why do I get the feeling that that whole thing was you just masking the fact that you were calling in complaining about your wife's cooking? Why? that was the whole point of your call, wasn't it? She messed up your favorite meal, and you're upset about it. It is funny because it does kind of remind me like how some of us act toward ourselves sometimes, because I think you're right about all of this. Sometimes you really get down in your, like for me, I generally do my own cooking and a lot of grilling and whatnot. And yeah, sometimes, man, it's just, you just assume like this is going to be awesome. And you put that's the other thing, you put a lot of work in it. It's not like a bowl of cereal, dude. This is hours. Like, first of all, it's generally a little bit more expensive. And, even if it's a cheap cut of meat, it's a bigger cut. So it's expensive overall, and it's a lot of meat. It's got to last you a long time, whatever. And you have high expectations, and you're remembering like the best time you've ever had it, and something goes wrong, and it's just not as good. You put a bad, like the barbecue sauce is not good, or you put too much seasoning on it, or you overcooked it, or you undercooked it, or whatever the case may be, and it just sucks, dude. It just sucks. But it's a question of, do you look at it and say, I suck, I can't do this, or is it just like, dang it, dude, I messed that up? With the idea that, like, I know I'm good at this, and I know I'm going to nail it next time. I just was not paying attention, and I should have been, and I need to start writing this stuff down, which I am really bad at that. I'm honestly, I know I say stuff and I don't end up doing it. I really think what I need to do is make a cookbook, and the number one reason I want to do it is just so that I know how I make stuff, because I don't remember. I don't know how long stuff takes. I don't know how long I cook things for. I don't know. I don't even know how long it takes me to start up my grill. I get that wrong every time, because I'm trying to, like, simulate out like the amount of time it takes to like heat up the grill while I'm like prepping the meat and all that stuff. So it's kind of like done around, you want everything to just flow, and it always takes a lot longer than I think. I go light it up, keep everything wide open so we can keep the flame burning. Like, all right, come inside. We're going to get that. Go back out. Like, all right, we at 225 yet? It's like, no, it's like 125 degrees. Or even worse, like the coals haven't really caught yet. It's like, what? Oh, I didn't even like factor that into my prep time. Like, it's not just like everything's lit and coming up to temperature. It's like they haven't even caught yet. Oh my Lord, this is crazy. But, as far as the Packers, it's are we going to look at it and be like, oh, that sucks, but whatever. They just weren't doing it, but next time they'll be all right. And I think it's hard too when it's not you. It's easier when you know what you can do and you know why you messed up and you know that you weren't on your game, but you very definitively can do this and you know that like next time you're going to do better, as opposed to stuff that's out of your control. It's a lot more anxiety inducing when you can't control it and you don't know the reasons, which is why we just start making up reasons for everything. All right. Blake's dad, what's up?
What's up, Ryan? This is Pizzle.
It's what?
Just calling to wonder, do we play Jordan Love? Do we play Josh Jacobs this weekend against the Bears? I want to beat the Bears. Never lost to them since LaFleur. I'll be there. I'd like to see Jordan Love a little bit, but just wondering what you think. Is it even worth playing the starters? Also, sign T. Higgins, 2025. T. Higgins, wide receiver 1. Later.
Yeah, so I did end up doing a little bit of a ditty on that, so you'll be happy to hear my thoughts, which I surprised myself, to be honest, because that's usually automatic, like, nah, dude, that's stupid. Stop being an idiot. But I just think it makes sense. I think I think we have the money. I think we have a spot to fill, and I think he could slide right into it. It's not that it's our biggest need, but it's just a good fit. So why not? It's not like Xavier McKinney was our biggest, like safety is our biggest need either, but it's a heck of a good signing, Same with running back. We don't need Josh Jacobs, but I'm sure as heck glad that we signed him. What the heck else was it? Oh, should we play the starters? Well, obviously by now we know that we are, and I do think it makes sense, especially when you have something to play for. You cannot bench your guys. I mean, you want to talk about like a coach that's going to get crucified for doing stupid stuff, not playing your starters when you have something to play for, even if you don't think that the 6 and 7 seed thing is, first of all, very likely to be attained anyways, or whatever. But can you imagine if Dallas did end up winning that game and you sat your starters and lost to the Bears? First of all, you lost to the Bears. That's going to just be infuriating to everybody. It's just, I mean, there's no decision here. There's just absolutely no decision. If there was nothing to play for, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. Goose, what's up, man?
Hey, Ryan. Goose here. I'm hoping this makes it in before the game. It's Wednesday evening.
Doing my best.
And I've just been taking my time to process that game. I've listened to the podcasts and the After Darks, and I said a little something on Facebook, and I'm going to stick to it. But thank you for being such a voice of reason and bringing me back around. Intellectually, I understood that we only lost by 2 points in that game. But it felt way worse than that.
Yes.
And it's taken me some time to really analyze how I feel about it. I think that it just proves that this team has a fatal flaw. They are very Jekyll and Hyde. Mm-hmm. And that Jekyll and Hyde really rides on Jordan Love being Jekyll and Hyde.
True.
So that's frustrating.
It's very similar to Rodgers, by the way. I mean, a lot of the bad games were when Rodgers had bad games, which makes sense. It's the most valuable position by a mile. If Bullard has a bad day, but Jordan has a great day, we win that game. If Watson has a terrible game, but Jordan is playing elite, we win the game. If Rashawn Gary is terrible, but Jordan Love is having an elite game, we win. You can pick any one player. The only one that matters is Jordan. He's the only one. Seriously. I mean, literally the only one that if he's elite, we win. If he's garbage, we lose. So, yeah, absolutely.
Really wish he could find his consistency. We know what he can be, and unfortunately this year he has been not that, more than that. But also looking at the other teams and how they've performed against teams we've annihilated, I don't think there's anyone the Packers can't beat if they just show up to play. All they have to do is show up to play. If they show up to play for a half, they can beat most of these teams. If this team can go, okay, for 4 games, we're going to show up for 4 quarters, for 4 straight games, they're going straight to the Super Bowl. There's no one going to beat them. The only team that beats the Packers is themselves. Even against the Lions, like, they should have won that game. Okay, we lost, but you got to admit there was ref interference in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some people referencing some stuff in this game. The refs didn't do anything to make them lose. That didn't happen. The Packers lost that game themselves with just stupidity, not playing like they can. They played like a sack of shit. And that's the truth. And that's what scares me about this team, is the inconsistency. And that's down to Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur, and it's up to them and Brian Gutekunst to figure out how to get this team to not have these. It's not like they just had like a flat day. They had 3.5 quarters of playing like they didn't want to be there. And this keeps happening every year, and we just got to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question, to be honest. I mean, again, as I've said before, obviously there's some element of there will always be variability. There's always going to be bad games. There's always going to be really, really good games that you're not going to replicate. You know, that Saints game was probably as good as we're going to see all year. Even, you know, regardless of the opponent. I mean, it was a very good 3-phase, 4-quarter football game. I mean, a fantastic example would be last year, Green Bay Packers versus Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. Dallas was an unbelievably hot football team. They were big-time favorites against the Packers, and they got, I mean, I don't know a stronger way to say it. I mean, they got just annihilated. Doesn't quite do it, but that's more or less what happened. They got freaking annihilated. And then the next week, the 49ers and the Packers didn't show up. But the 49ers got lucky because the Packers were less inclined to actually win that game than even the 49ers were. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. It's getting tricky now. We will hear from Daniel from California we have not heard from yet.
Hey, Ryan, Daniel from California. Hey, I was just looking at the possible options for free agents to fill in for next year. Just thinking about like the couple pieces that we need just to shore this thing up, because we are close, and it's really a shame because we have the guys to do it, but now you got Jair out for the year, most likely. And then you got the edges and the defensive tackle sometimes just don't show up. So, like on defense, we got that, and then you got receivers too. So
that is the hard part. Is, you know, from week to week, you know, and of course nobody wants to be nuanced. So, you know, 1 week there's no pass rush. And then, you know, we need pass rushers. And then for 5 weeks straight, we've got one of the best pass rushers in football. We're all excited about it. I can't believe how great this is. Rashawn's playing good. Kenny's getting better. Brenton Cox is great. Mosby's great. Like, Lucas Van Ness is one of the best pass rushers of the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like, everything is the greatest in the world. And then one bad game again with no pass rush. Like, these guys suck. We need pass rushers. Like, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just depends what we need based on what's going on.
I was looking ahead, and I happened to notice that Charvarius Ward, it said he's likely on his way out, right? And it made me think about the Devondre Campbell situation. Like, what a piece of garbage Devondre Campbell is, because, like, you got a guy who lost a 1-year-old child.
Yeah.
And he's in and out of the lineup, and yeah, he's not playing so good this year.
Yeah.
But he lost his kid, man, and he's just emotionally destroyed. Even he's showing up, and Devondre Campbell is a piece of garbage.
That's crazy.
Just like,
I
I
didn't think of
don't
that.
want to play hurt. I don't want people to blame me if I'm playing injured, because I might play bad. It's just like, grow up, dude. But yeah, Charvarius Ward, he's had some high-level play, and it says he's likely on his way out of San Francisco. That might be a player we can get for the $15 to $20 million range to add to bolster our secondary. Valentine, Jair, Ward, Nixon. I'm not sure if Nixon's on a 1-year or 2-year right now. You can look that up. And then you draft a developmental guy in, let's say, the second or the third. So that covers that. And edge rush, it's like we've invested so much in edge rush. Like, I don't know. Like, do we sign somebody? Like, I didn't see, like, that guy that makes sense. Oh, yeah, also DJ Reed also doesn't want to go back to the Jets, so he's an option. And so is Rasul. Rasul's an option, but Rasul's a little older. DJ Reed's a little older, but edge rush, I don't know. Got to figure out edge rush, maybe adding another receiver. Our receivers are good, but it seems like we
got cut off there and probably won't make it back to part 2. But yeah, it's crazy to think that we're almost in, and I feel really guilty about this. I kind of got a little excited when I realized the offseason was almost here. It's usually the most depressing thing in the world, but man, I'm excited to get into the draft and start talking about free agency. And honestly, it won't take very long before those things come up and we're going to start seeing the free agent pickups and all that stuff. I mean, it really happens pretty fast. We start rebuilding this team from the ground up, and hopefully, obviously, this is after a Super Bowl. I'm just saying, we're getting to the point pretty soon where this is our main focus. So we'll have to turn our attention there pretty soon. But I did a little bit of that, and we will continue to turn our attention. The Charvarius Ward thing is certainly interesting. I mean, he's not yet 29. He's a little on the older side. Obviously, this is a down year. You'd have to do some homework into that, as far as his mental and emotional state. You hate to, ding a guy for something like that, but also you have to recognize that, something like that is obviously extremely serious, and the likelihood that he's not going to be able to play at a high level anymore is relatively high. It's possible it could go the other way, but you just don't know, and you want to make sure that you're getting the right guy. But his time in San Francisco, he was elite. Even in Kansas City, he was fine. 69, 66, 64 for those years. That's perfectly fine, like number 2 numbers. Then he goes, his final year in Kansas City was a 71, 70 coverage. Then he goes to San Francisco, and it's 81 overall, 77 coverage, and then 85 overall, 87 coverage. We're talking one of the best corners in football, probably over that 2-year span. And then, this year was a complete fall-off disaster. And I don't know how much of that. I don't remember exactly the timeline of it. He's pretty much, he had a good week 1, and after that it was pretty much over for him. But anyways, lot of considerations there, and Gutekunst and that staff do a pretty good job, if nothing else. If you don't like his drafting, I can't imagine you would have any issue with his abilities in free agency. Have been remarkable. The pro staff is doing a good job. Well, actually, this is probably going to time out pretty perfectly. I think we have 3 more callers. We got Aaron, Omar, and Aaron, and then we're just going to probably have to call it there. skipped almost every single call, but we got to all the callers, and that's I like that strategy.
So Brian, Aaron from Eau Claire calling.
Yo.
Just a quick thought here about Matt LaFleur and his personality during the game. I've heard a lot of people talking about LaFleur's temper and him throwing tantrums on the sideline, all that stuff. And I'm kind of torn on it because on the one hand, you know, in the past, the Packers have had a lack of energy, or, you know, they just don't show any juice. They don't show any intensity in the game.
And the one guy that does is the bad guy now, right? Okay.
And part of me is thinking, well, you know, if we want intensity, and it starts with the coach, then maybe Matt LaFleur is trying to bring more of that intensity to the game. In a way, I can see that being a good thing. In another way, I also think it's good to pick your moments, and maybe he's just learning how to do that.
And that's the other thing. I mean, I don't know that I would ever pick a different moment. I've never seen him flip out about a minor thing. I mean, horrifically bad calls that all of us the entire time are like, this is the worst call ever. And then just like somehow midweek, we've all just decided that actually I remember Matt LaFleur getting upset and I find that outrageous. It's like, bro, you almost broke your TV set. Shut up. God.
You know, I think a lot of good coaches throw temper tantrums on the sideline.
Yeah. Pretty much all of them.
Comes to mind. You know, he's been known to do that. And there's other coaches that are a little more calm, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So, yeah, I don't know. I think you talk about this a lot, and I agree with you that, you know, people complain about one thing, and then when it goes the other direction, they complain about that, you know?
I mean, yeah, the bottom line is if Matt LaFleur was not showing emotion, that would be the complaint. The problem that everybody has is that we lost. And then they just go out and find a thing that happened and say that's a bad thing. That's the point. And that's what's so stupid about it. It's not about like, I've always had this consistent standard since day one, and it's an established standard, and we know it to be true, and Matt LaFleur crossed that line. The problem is, we went out and grabbed a line and then found something to put it over and said, see, he's over my line that I just created and put in front of him. Like, it's so nonsensical. I have no interest in even really taking anything like that seriously or seriously engaging in it other than to just rant about how stupid it is.
Be more aggressive. Okay, they're more aggressive. Man, take the points. Be less aggressive. I think what it comes down to is learning the right moments to do each thing. That's my takeaway. There are times when it's good to be passionate and to yell at the players or yell at the refs or whatever. Get some energy going, get some maybe frustration in an appropriate moment. And then other times it's good to be, you know, cool-headed. And
here's a second thought. Who gives a crap? Who cares? If Matt LaFleur wants to just stand there and be stoic, if Matt LaFleur wants to scream and rant and rave, I don't care. Some players get up and celebrate first down. Some of them run right back and hand the ball to the ref. Some guys jump up and down. Some guys jaw at players, and some guys aren't jaw jackers. I don't care. Just do a good job. And the fact of the matter is, nobody can really find anything to complain about Matt LaFleur about, except for stuff that's stupid and, again, made up. Oh, you're holding back Jordan. No, he's not. Oh, you're too emotional. No, he's not. Oh, you're dialing up too many deep shots. No, he's not. These are all just made up things that are basically, we lost, and I'm pissed, and I choose to blame Matt LaFleur, and now I just got to go find any random thing that he did. It's his freaking shirt that he wore. It's his eyebrows. It's whatever it is. What the thing is doesn't matter. The point is, I'm mad, and I want Matt LaFleur to be the one to blame. Who gives a crap? if he gets upset about stupid stuff. Oh, Matt LaFleur, what? He's getting mad about Packer fans doing the wave on offense? Yes. And I want him to. I do. I'm the one that said they should put an announcement on the frickin' screen as soon as that happens saying, knock it off, you jag-offs. You bunch of morons. Stop doing that. We've all said it's stupid. We all rant and rave. But today we have decided that Matt LaFleur is too emotional and it's horrible. So despite the fact that he's mad about everything that we're mad about and he's angry about all the right things, we've decided that that's a bad thing. God, shut up.
Keep your composure, right? So, anyways, just a thought.
And not to mention this is entirely exaggerated. You say, like, keep your composure. He did. I mean, he yells at a ref about a stupid call, and then he goes back and does his thing. That's it. That's the whole thing. I mean, it's not like good things are happening, and he's still just like, oh, I can't believe it. He's weeping and wailing and crying. And it's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about at all.
I don't know. I think it's hard to know without knowing what he's saying and what he's actually talking to people about. Whether or not, what he's doing is effective.
Yeah, right. That's the other thing. We don't know what's happening. We just know that there was a bad call and Matt LaFleur is chewing out the ref about it. And then he goes back to calling plays and that's it. And this is stupid. This whole conversation is just stupid, is really all there is to it. So yeah, I don't put any stock in it. I don't care. It's just such a waste of time discussing all this crap. And as always, Ron, I'm not directing that at you. It's everybody else that's put their official like this is their main cause in life. They're just going around making sure everybody understands that it's funny too. Whenever like people want to argue against what I'm saying, all they do is describe what happened and then put like bad words in there to make it seem like they're going to win their argument. Like, well, he's crying and he's whining and it's like, okay, you're choosing to put those descriptive words in there. And if I change those descriptive words to something positive, then it just becomes something different. But you're actually not saying anything like at all. Reminds me of like all these media articles, obviously every single media entity in the world is completely biased. And whenever an event happens, they'll phrase the title a certain way to make it seem a certain way. And then, of course, if it's something that they agree with, they'll phrase it, even if it's the exact same thing, but it's a person they like, they'll phrase it a completely different way. That's exactly what this is. If you agree with him being upset about bad calls, you would say something like he is, righteously indignant or something. Probably not that stupid, but you know what I mean? Like he's passionate. If you don't like it, he's whining. But just putting a word in there doesn't change anything. You haven't said anything. You're just calling him names. I don't know why you think that's a persuasive way to go about this. Well, yeah, look at what he did last time. He was whining about this and complaining about this. And okay, well, no.
What's going on, Joe Modified Fighter? How you doing?
What's up?
Well, I know I heard a podcast about Jair, if we should keep on, is the contract worth it? And I like what you said. I understood what you said. I agree with the restructure, but even without the restructure, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Only like my initial thought was keep him one or two more years, because we don't have anybody else. That's the problem.
Right.
So even if you say Valentine is okay, Nixon excels at, like he's overdoing what he probably should be doing, which is a good thing. Like, I think he'd be a good slot corner, and we got him out on the boundary because he knows the playbook, he reacts well, but it's still, you got the height, I don't know if the height limitations, speed limitations or what, but like he's not a shutdown or even like a top tier corner, but he's doing the best with what he got. So I appreciate that. But we don't have anybody. So even if we draft a cornerback high, it's like that's just one piece. You know, so I don't know any free agent cornerbacks that might be available. But I just, that's my only reason is that people say hoping that he's healthy and he plays. I know he hasn't been, but it's kind of like, I don't know if I'd rather hope that he's healthy and pay him than just let him go and we don't have nobody there. Now maybe we could sign somebody with the extra money, but I think it was only like $7 million or something like that. You know, we freeing up. So I just kind of like, it might be worth the risk just to have him until we like get maybe 2 years to draft people, of cornerbacks, but we'll see. I don't know. My other thing was, I know a lot of people hype about the number one wide receiver thing. Me being one of those people as well, only because it's like, what were we used to? We're used to not having a good defense and just scoring points. So I think I like what you said about T. Higgins. I guess he is the number one. I'm kind of looking for like a number one that can like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, somebody who can like take it and take it to the house. But I do want somebody like, you know, that's not going to drop the ball like, you know, be like Devontae and catch everything. But I think that would help Jordan Love. So it's like if our defense sucks, at least we can outscore people. Because right now, we can't outscore people. So that's my really thing about getting a number one wide receiver or even drafting somebody who can hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, the concern, and as far as Jair, I guess we'll start with that. I mean, I agree with you insofar as I think everybody wants to oversimplify things. They want to pretend that it's a really simple decision, and it's not. Of all the things that I would love to create in my life, one of them would be some kind of a thing where everybody gets to be a GM and actually make these decisions. And you can kind of be graded on these things. And before I'll ever listen to you open your mouth, I want to see your credentials. Show me your decisions that you've made. I don't know how you would go about doing that, but I think that would be fantastic because everybody would be stupid, right? So, I mean, some people would end up making really good because you'd have, you know, presumably in my ideal world, everybody would partake in my fun little designed thing here. But yeah, I mean, somebody would get lucky or whatever. But most people are going to make mostly stupid decisions, and they're going to say it was really easy. In fact, I would love for them to put comments. I would love to like attach. You know what? Might even be better to just not even have people participate, just have people submit opinions, you know, like attach a Twitter account and just be like, here's this guy on Twitter, here's all the stuff he's said, and then you can just kind of like grade people. I think that'd be fantastic. It really would. Just grade people's opinions and comments and everything else. Be glorious. It'd be impossible, but it'd be glorious. But it is a difficult decision. It is. Saying you want to get rid of him because he's with this or it's just, that's an emotional thing. You don't know that he's not going to be healthy. He hasn't been. But, I mean, there's nothing medically. I mean, I tell you what, if you're going to tell me that, go get me a doctor. Go get me a doctor that's going to tell me that he cannot be healthy in the future. That he can't be, because if you can't get a doctor to tell me that, then I'm certainly not going to believe you when you say that. He is more injury prone. That's true. And as I've said before, I've given examples. Sometimes injury prone guys play and they play well and they play at a high level. So you can be flippant about it because you're not actually the GM and you don't actually have to be held accountable. You get to just throw a hissy fit now and then in, 7, 8, 9 months when he's playing for another team at a high level and we're getting destroyed through the air, you just get to slink into the background and pretend that you didn't run your mouth about how we needed to get rid of Jair. It's really easy to do from that perspective. But I personally don't know, and I would have a really hard time making a concrete decision about that. As far as the wide receiver one thing, I like the Higgins thing, and I understand there are definitely better options, but I mean, it's easy to say I would rather have a Justin Jefferson than it is to actually go find one. Like, okay, I'm with you. I would love a Justin. Where do we get one of those guys? We could try in the draft, and I would have no problem getting T. Higgins and still trying. I mean, maybe not first round necessarily, but if you got a certain style that you like as far as speed or whatever, we'll see what happens, I guess. But I think he'd be a good enough sort of X receiver type of guy. All right, Aaron, let's get us out of here.
What is going on, Ryan?
What's up?
I am
sitting here listening to the podcast about they're getting emotional over Matt LaFleur getting emotional because everyone's complaining about Matt LaFleur getting emotional I don't know why, because there's a lot of reasons why he's doing it. Would you rather have a coach that just sits there when the refs make a bad call or when...
By the way, the answer to that question is no. The fans of this team would hate it if whenever bad things happen, you pan over to Matt LaFleur and he's emotionless. They would lose their freaking minds. That is the absolute answer.
There's stupid stuff happening, or like, for example, in the Lions game, right? You know, when that Lions fan came down on the field to go out with the flag and then started talking trash and like then gave the next slicing sign. Like, here's the thing with that, okay? Like, I get you're a Lions fan, but as soon as you go onto the field to bring out the flag, you're representing the flag, not the Lions at that point. So you are going out there as a person who's representing the flag, giving this throat cutting sign. I completely understand Matt with that one, and that guy rightfully lost his season tickets. Hopefully that kind of stuff doesn't happen again because, like I said, they're representing the flag, not their team. Well, they are also representing their team in a negative way by representing the flag in a negative way. Anyway, going on. It's just like, if some bad stuff is happening, would you rather just have Matt LaFleur stand there and be like, oh, no, it's okay. That was not a pass interference, but it's okay.
Right, and you know what the answer would be. You know what people would be saying, and I'd be more inclined to agree. No wonder this team has no emotion. No wonder this team has no passion. Stuff happens and he doesn't even care. He doesn't hold anybody accountable. He has no energy. He has no passion. He comes out flat just like his team. That's what everybody be saying. But that's not what happens, so they can't say it, so they make up something else.
Hey, good job, Russ. No. Like, literally every coach ever that is a good coach gets fired up like this. Is it just because Matt...
I mean, it's like coaching 101. This is what coaches do. They yell. They do it a little bit less now because it's especially yelling at your own players. That's seen as like a horrible thing because players today are overpaid divas and whatnot, and they just can't emotionally handle it. But I mean, this is coaching 101. You scream and you yell and you spit and you flare up and you do all crazy stuff. I mean, this is since the dawn of time. I tell you what, call in and tell me Vince Lombardi's a crybaby. You do that and I'll start taking you seriously. If you're not willing to do that, then just shut the hell up.
There's a younger looking guy that, like, he's not like an old dude like Andy Reid that has like
what the hell's going on out there? Oh, geez, look at him. He's being a whiny crybaby. What are you complaining about? Why don't you have some composure there, Vincent?
History behind him and everything. Matt LaFleur is a good coach. He has one of the best winning records in the history of the league. Like, he's a good coach. So I don't know. I don't know why people get all upset about Matt LaFleur and whatever. It's like they can't see the good that we have. There are some fans that just cannot see the good. They only see the negative. When they look at Jordan, they only see the interceptions that happened at the beginning of the season, and that defined the rest of the season. And now they see the bad throws that he makes, and that's just only who he is. They don't see the amazing stuff that he can do. They don't see the really good stuff that this team has. They only see the negative. So they don't see all the good that Matt LaFleur has done. They only see the tantrums Matt LaFleur is throwing. Even though they're probably at home throwing the exact same tantrum. You know, when they're watching the game, they're probably yelling at the ref just as much, if not more than Matt LaFleur. But they're in the privacy of their own home versus Matt LaFleur actually being, like, affected by it. Whereas
Okay, I'm just going to, two things I want to say about this coaching thing, and then fortunately we get to move on. Well, we'll see. Number one, there's a lot of talk about how it's going to negatively impact the locker room. I don't know how people in there feel, but I do know that generally players like it. You know how I know that? Because this is how players act. This is a team. If you come at one of my guys, I'm coming at you. If you have for example, a Detroit Lions, that's like a big one. Like that was out of line. He shouldn't have gone to the fan. If you have somebody doing a throat slit symbol at our sideline and you go at them, the players are going to feel as though this is our team, and you come for us, we're going to come for you, right? This is the mentality. This is what we want our players to do, right? If somebody hits your quarterback, I want the whole team going out there beating the living crap out of them. Is that being emotional? No, that's just what you're supposed to do. Again, I can't promise you that nobody in that locker room is feeling as though they wish he was a little bit more composed or something, although I would doubt it. I can't think of a single instance where a player would be upset about it. But generally speaking, lashing out in favor of your team, in defense of your team, is going to be something that is respected by the team. Secondly, I mentioned Vince Lombardi, so we're going to do a little robot deep dive here. Here's a couple examples of Vince Lombardi being a whiny baby crybaby. Okay, here we go. Here's the big baby Vince Lombardi. What the hell's going on out here? One of Lombardi's most famous outbursts came during a game where his team was making mistakes. He angrily paced the sideline and shouted, "What the hell is going on out here?" at his players. The expression of frustration was captured on film and has become one of the most replayed moments, showcasing his intensity. Calling out Bart Starr. During a game, Lombardi once publicly berated quarterback Bart Starr on the sideline after a play didn't go as planned. He was known to be hard on Starr, despite their strong relationship, holding him to a high standard. Witnesses often saw Lombardi unleash his frustration with sharp, animated gestures. Locker room explosions. In the locker room after games, Lombardi was known for his tirades if the Packers played poorly. Former players recall him slamming chalkboards, throwing clipboards, and delivering harsh critiques. Lombardi's anger was fueled by his belief in their potential and his intolerance for mediocrity, which is also hilarious, by the way. You got a bunch of fans who are angry 24/7, and they claim it's because they have such a high standard for the team, yet when the coach has any standard whatsoever, he's being a crybaby? Okay. Sideline tantrums. Lombardi was often animated on the sidelines, gesturing wildly and shouting at players or officials when things went wrong. He didn't shy away from expressing his disapproval in real time, pacing and yelling at anyone he felt was responsible for a lapse in performance. Harsh practices. Lombardi's practices were famously intense. If players didn't execute plays correctly, he wouldn't hesitate to stop everything, scream at the team, and run the play over and over until it was perfect. His perfectionism was often communicated through fiery and pointed criticism. Intolerance for excuses. Lombardi had no patience for excuses. One notable story involved a player trying to explain a mistake, only for Lombardi to interrupt and yell, "Don't tell me why you didn't do it. Just don't let it happen again." Yelling at assistants. Lombardi wasn't just tough on players, he was equally hard on his coaching staff. Assistants would occasionally be on the receiving end of his animated anger during games or practices, often when he felt they hadn't prepared the team adequately. The drive for perfection speech. While not specifically an angry moment, his famous perfection speech often carried an undertone of controlled frustration. He would passionately tell his team that they might never achieve perfection, but the relentless pursuit of it was non-negotiable, and failure to strive for it was unacceptable. Now, I could do this for dozens and dozens and dozens of Hall of Fame legendary coaches, modern as well as old, and you freaking know that I can. So unless you're going to apply this equally to everybody, which you're not, you only want to apply it to Matt LaFleur because you want to find some reason to blame him for something, then knock it off. This is very simple. You create a standard first, then you go into a game and see how they execute against that standard. You don't wait for something to happen and then create a new standard that gives you the result that you want, in this case, making sure that Matt LaFleur is to blame for the problems of this team. It's pathetic. Anyways, you guys have a good night. I'm going to go. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Go Pack Go. Have a good one. Bye-bye.